In this video, I'm going to talk about how to start the process of forgiving others and letting go of the past. Whether you're at the very beginning of the process or you're further along, I'll have tips for wherever you're at. So let's get started. Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and today we're talking about forgiveness. I know firsthand that forgiving people and letting go of the past is really hard, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. I went from being someone who had a lot of forgiving and letting go to do, but with a lot of hard work, I figured out some helpful steps that I want to pass along. So today I've got 6 steps that can make forgiving easier for you too. Now I'll get into them in just a minute, but first I want to talk about why forgiving is so important, and it has nothing to do with the person that you're trying to forgive. By holding on to those negative feelings towards people who have hurt you, you're mainly hurting yourself. Unless that person is still actively in your life, they're probably not being affected at all, yet it can be so easy to hold on to those feelings. Even worse, when you're forgiving someone who hasn't asked for forgiveness, it can feel like you're letting them win. But in reality, it's just damaging you. I also want to add that while this video is more geared to help with relationships that are no longer active, if you're trying to forgive someone who's currently in your life and trying to heal that relationship, there's still going to be something in here for you too, so keep watching. Now, let's get into the 6 steps to make forgiving easier. This first one is helpful if you know that you need to forgive, but you're still in the grieving process. And you can think of it almost like a pre-step. So, step 1, write about the wrongdoings and ways you were hurt, and also any boundaries that might have been crossed. It's important to note that this one comes with a bit of a warning. This step, more than any of them, is more geared towards situations where the person you're wanting to forgive is no longer in your life, and you're trying to process everything that happened with them to let it go. Or if you're trying to weigh the pros and cons about whether this person is good for you. It's not a good idea to use this if you're just going to create a list against the person that ends up making you even more mad about random stuff from the past. It's not going to do any good for your well-being or for that relationship. When it comes to active relationships in your life that you want to nurture, focus on specific situations that you're trying to forgive them for. Now, if this is a past relationship that you're trying to work through, try to be as open and honest as possible with yourself. So not only is this an opportunity to let go, but you can also learn what areas you can work on in the future, such as boundaries or things that you desire from people that you're going to let into your life in the future. Step 2, write out or tell yourself that you want to be open to forgiving. I'm not going to lie, this step might be really difficult, and in some ways it might be the most difficult because if you've been in a place where you're holding on to hateful and hurt feelings, then saying that you want to forgive can feel like you're saying that the things that were done to you are okay, or even that you're taking responsibility for someone else's actions. But remember, the negative feelings that you're holding on to, those are hurting you and not the other person. As you're working through these steps, try to keep in mind that by forgiving them, you're actively working towards giving your body a sense of peace. It might seem selfish to make forgiving so much about yourself, but it's okay to be selfish in this instance, especially if it's going to create inner peace within your body. So with this step, what you'll want to do is get out a piece of paper, your phone, or even just repeat to yourself that you want to be open to forgiving. At this point, rather than making it specific to the person that you're trying to forgive, you'll just want to tell yourself that you're open to forgiving in general. If you're not so hurt by this person that it's easy enough to start out by saying that you want to forgive them, then that's great, go for it. But if you have so much anger, this will ease your mind into a more forgiving place, and when you're ready, then you can move on to being more specific about who you want to forgive. Step 3, write about the reasons you want to forgive and the things you'll gain by doing so, as well as why you feel so stuck in this process. What are the really important reasons for you that you want to forgive this person? Are they actively in your life and you feel that the negativity that you're feeling towards them is getting in between the two of you? Or are you wanting to forgive someone who's no longer in your life because it's holding you back from living a really fulfilled life? Figure out what your reasons are and keep them in mind. So for me, I was holding on to all these negative feelings towards people because I couldn't fathom forgiving people who hurt me so badly. And for the longest time, even though I knew it would be great to forgive, I just couldn't get there. But because of that, I ended up letting it interfere in my life. It was important to acknowledge that I didn't want those people to control any more of my life than they already had. and I knew that I would be able to do so much more good with my life if I was just able to let go of the past and forgive them. Those are my reasons, but it's going to be different for all of us. Step 4. View them as a broken child. I found that this one was really helpful as I became more open to finally forgiving, but either I wasn't quite there or I couldn't see the person as anything but horrible. Even if you think that that person hasn't made, or even that they're just evil, likely there was stuff that occurred when they were growing up or even as early as in their mother's pregnancy that shaped them in a negative way. Things like these can cause complications that create broken people who aren't capable of being healthy adults. And because of that, they can end up affecting others in really negative ways. If you can view them from this perspective and think about what things they might have gone through as a child to not be able to function in a healthy way, then it can help you practice empathy and let go of some of that hate. Again, this doesn't mean that any of the harm or hurt that they caused is excused or justified, or that your pain doesn't matter, because it really does. But it's a lot easier to find forgiveness for a child, and so this tool can be really useful. Step 5. Practice saying you forgive them. When the time comes that you're finally ready to forgive, then start by practicing saying it. There might be times, especially as you're getting started, where some of the same negative feelings you got from saying that you wanted to forgive in step 2 pop up. But the more that you can say it, the easier it's hopefully going to get. You can even combine this one with the last step if it makes it easier. I know for myself, it was impossible for me for the longest time. Even trying to simply think that I wanted to forgive them would literally cause me chest pains. But when I implemented it with the last step, it became so much easier. Step 6. Write them a forgiveness letter and then destroy it. This step allows you to tell the person that you've forgiven them, and it can be as in-depth as you need it to be with how you were hurt, how you're no longer holding on to that, and that you finally moved forward. From there, you can have a bit of a ceremony as a way to symbolize letting it all go by destroying the letter. So cut it, shred it, burn it, just destroy it and appreciate how far you've come. But I strongly caution you not to send the letter. As tempting as it might be to let the person know that you've moved forward and that you've forgiven them, this isn't really a smart idea. For one, they might not even care or know that you're holding on to this grudge, and by sending them the letter, you don't know what kind of response you're going to get back. But chances are it's not going to be good, and it's only going to push you farther back in your journey. I do want to add that while sending a forgiveness letter is probably not a great idea, I wouldn't view it the same as like an amends letter or a letter to try and repair the relationship or to let it go by letting that person know that they've hurt you. I would still caution you, though, that you need to be prepared for the outcome with any of these situations by managing your expectations. Managing your expectations is going to be super important for this whole process, and if you're not quite sure how to do that, then I'll provide a link in the description below to a previous video that I made about exactly that. So as you're working through these, it's good to recognize how you're feeling as you go through this process. These steps can be really helpful, but try not to get so caught up in thinking that you need to be over everything after you complete any one of them or all of them. Healing, it's not linear, so there's likely going to be days where it feels easy or at least easier, and then there's going to be other days where it feels like you've taken a giant leap backwards, especially if something ends up triggering you. Forgiving and just healing in general is a lifelong process, and it's one that's unique to each person, so try to keep that in mind, that where you're at right now is okay and you won't be there forever. It's okay if you find that something works really well for you from the start, but it's also okay if you find that you're stuck. Just recognize that you're trying to improve your life by making progress, and even if it's slow, it's still progress. If you found these steps helpful, then please hit that like button and click that subscribe button as well as that little bell for more videos on gaining your happiest, healthiest, and best self.